Walker here, and welcome to Healthcare Online. Today, our very special guest is Alvaro Berrios. Hi, Alvaro. How are you?
I'm doing great, Megan. I'm excited to be here.
Fantastic. And Alvaro has an amazing agency that helps people run their Facebook and Instagram advertising. And I'm sure a lot more, Alvaro. Do you want to just kick us off and tell us a little bit more about what you guys do? And then we're going to get into a conversation about course creators and, partnering up with Meta and what that looks like. So, yeah, tell us what it is that you guys do.
Yeah, so we primarily run Meta ads, although we do also run Google ads and YouTube ads for our clients. But if I were to give a percentage, I would say 80% of what we do is around Meta ads, and the other 20% consists of Google ads and YouTube ads combined. And we work with online entrepreneurs selling digital products and services. So we're not working with any kind of like local brick and mortar types of businesses. The online realm is definitely our bread and butter and specialty.
Fantastic. Thank you. I knew there'd be something else that you're doing. Thanks for mentioning the YouTube ads as well. And so people get started with creating an online course. Typically someone like me will coach them into, create it and then test it with your audience. And when you get good feedback, then launch it with your organic audience. And soon enough, and they have good results, but then sooner or later we realize that hang on the minute, they've used up that audience. The sales have, come out of their existing email list. And then we say, okay, now start growing your list. Well, that can be pretty slow. So tell us about the role of Facebook ads and when is a good time for a course creator to start investing in I should say paid Meta ads, shouldn't I? And then that covers us for Facebook and Instagram. What's a good time when
Yeah, yeah.
people should start
And by the way, I
spending?
still make that slip myself all the time.
Yeah,
I'll say Facebook ads, and then people will go, "What about Instagram?" I'm like, "Well, it's the same thing. Like,
yeah.
I'm lump it all together." But yeah, like Meta ads and the whole family of platforms. Um, but yeah, so there's one really obvious case of when a course creator should start, and then another one that's a little bit less obvious. The obvious case one, and hopefully this is the one that applies to most people in most cases. But it's when you create your course and you have been able to get some proof of concept, meaning some people from your organic audience have bought your course. Because if no one buys your course organically from people who already know, like, and trust you, I promise you that a stranger that has no idea who you are, that stranger will not buy your course from you. So that's the easy way of knowing it. However, I understand that not everyone, when they're starting off with their course, they may not have a built-in organic audience. So then at that point, you actually do have to start running ads really soon, but in a different way, right? So in the other example I just gave, when you have a built-in organic audience and you get some sales like that, you can start running ads directly promoting your course, pretty much right after that. Whereas if you're in the other bucket, you need to get started with Facebook ads sooner, but you don't want to promote your course right away. All you're doing at the very beginning is building your email list. That way you have a list of people to promote the course to organically at some point, right? So let's just say it's maybe 3, 4, 5 months down the road and stuff like that. And then you kind of do the same process, right? So you do those list building ads, you run something to a lead magnet, and then you release your course to your email list. Hopefully you get a few buyers in there. And then if you do, then you can start running ads for directly promoting your course. So those are the kind of the two scenarios that people will typically experience in the course creation realm.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I've got a thought. I don't know how to make it into a question. So I'm going to tell you something that I'm seeing a lot of where people will say get their mini course, they'll launch it to their existing email list, they make some sales, they'll do it again, and then they go, okay, the concept's proven. Now I'm going to put it into Evergreen and run ads to it. But then what they can often find is the ad people are cold. So what worked for the warm isn't working for the cold. So we need a different strategy to warm those people up. Do you want to just share your thoughts with me on that kind of light bulb moment that maybe I've just had?
Yeah, yeah, and it's a good thing that you pointed that out, because I did say earlier, right? If no one buys your course organically, no one's going to buy it from an ad. But that being said, even if people do buy your course organically, that's not a guarantee that people are going to buy it from an ad either, right? Because at the end of the day, that's an organic audience that already knows you, likes you, and trusts you. Whereas with an ad, you're getting in front of complete strangers who have no idea who you are, what you do, what you represent, how you can help them, so on and so forth. And you have to remember, no one goes on social media to shop, right? You know, if I need a pair of shoes, I don't open up my Instagram app or anything like that, right? I go to Amazon or drive to a store or whatever it might be. And so we're interrupting people. People are going on there to see what their friends are posting, this, that, and the other. It's a social media platform, which is easy to forget sometimes. And so yeah, so it's just a very different scenario. So oftentimes what you need to do, particularly with the mini course example that you gave, you need to provide a lot more context. Whereas with your organic audience, you know, you may have been able to be like very simple and straightforward with your promotions. Like, hey, I've got this mini course. I built it for people just like you. I really hope you like it. You know, here's the link to the sales page. Check it out. Let me know what you think, right? You can be very, very simple and straightforward like that, and get some results with your organic audience. You're not going to get that result with a cold audience, just saying, hey, I made this course for you. Like, please check it out. You know, let me know what you think. You have to provide a lot of context because they are cold people. So your ad copy and your sales page have to be longer in terms of the content that they're providing compared to your organic promotion. And you know, obviously, if we were to go into like a deep dive into ad copy, we'll be here for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
But the fastest and most simple way I can explain it is that you need to make sure that they understand that you understand them, right? That you empathize with them, that you've walked in their shoes before, and that you have solved the very problem that they are seeking to solve themselves, because you experienced the same problem, right? At some point in your life. And so if you're able to do that very eloquently, and the reason I'm kind of emphasizing eloquently is that I really hate kind of spammy style ad copy where it's like, attention, you know, doctors, you know, attention medical professionals, right? It's like, okay, no one like talks like that in the real world.
No.
You know, it's a social media platform. Be social, be human, empathize, and you know, with those efforts, you'll hopefully get some traction with your mini course when it comes to ads.
Yeah, so good. Thank you for explaining that, because we shouldn't assume that just because we can automate doesn't mean that we've skipped over the natural relationship developing process. So yeah, thank you for expanding on that a little bit further. And so for a new course creator who, you know, they're ready to step in and get started with ads, do you suggest they have a go at DIY or outsource? Controversial question for an ads manager.
So in 99% of scenarios, I do recommend having a go of the DIY route. There's a couple reasons for that. First and foremost, it's going to save you money paying an agency such as myself. And obviously at the very beginning of your course creation journey, you're not going to have a whole lot of cash flow coming in. So you're paying for an agency and you're paying for the ads. And so it can get very expensive very quickly. Whereas if you go to the DIY course, you skip the agency fee and all you're doing is paying for the ads themselves. But then the other reason that I recommend, you know, going the DIY route at first, and it's something that most people don't think about at the beginning, is that eventually it probably does make sense for everyone to outsource at some point, right? I don't know anyone who's that is doing, let's just say, like $1 million in revenue and they're still running their own ads, right? Like at that point you're like, okay, no, yeah, I need to outsource. So eventually, right, everyone who reaches a certain level, they're going to outsource. But if you want the DIY route, you're going to give yourself a foundation that is going to help you communicate whoever your ad manager is at the future. And, I actually made this mistake like early on in my agency where I would work with people that had never run their own ads. And it was like we were speaking foreign languages to one another. Like we just couldn't, communicate and strategize properly because they had no idea what I was saying. I was throwing out terms like CPM and CTR, and they're like, wait, what? And so, it gives you that foundation to be able to have a constructive relationship with your ad manager. And then on top of that, it will help you decipher who are the good ad managers versus the bad ad managers. In the agency world, it's just the reality that I don't know what the percentage is, but at least 80% of agencies and ad managers are very lousy, and I would even go as far as to call them scammers. But if you're not aware of like the ins and outs of meta ads, you're not going to be able to spot that, right? I've spoken to a lot of people who have wasted a ton of money. I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars on an agency that got them zero results, but they promised the moon to them, and so they unfortunately fell for that. So for those reasons, I do highly recommend going the DIY route. 98% of the time. For that 1%, there are some people that they truly despise running meta ads.
Yeah.
No matter what you do or what you say or how much training, it literally causes them stress and anxiety going into ads manager, seeing the data, all kind of stuff. So for those people in the 1%, I will say, okay, you kind of don't have a choice. You do have to outsource, but exhaust all options before before doing that. Because hopefully you can learn a little something along the way when it comes to meta ads.
That's such good advice. I really like that. And they don't need to know like every single moving part of it, because I find now it's just changing so much that, it's really hard to keep up with all of those changes. But yes, absolutely
Yeah.
knowing how to communicate with your agency, knowing what they're doing for you. Totally get that. That's such good advice. And so, I mean, this might be a bit too hard to answer, but is there a particular starting point? Do you start generally with like national, or you start with lead gen ads, or you start with promoting your lead magnet? Is there tends to be a starting point that's more common for course creators?
Yeah, I would say any kind of, lead gen, lead magnet type of ad, it tends to be a little bit more common for a couple of different reasons. One, it helps you get your feet wet with conversion ads. Once you're established and you're rocking and rolling and things are going well, I mean, 90% of the ads you're going to run on Meta are going to be some type of conversion ad, either for leads or sales. There's lots of other objectives, traffic, engagement, video views, all that kind of stuff. They have their time and place for sure, but in terms of the objectives that are going to make you money over the long run, it's the conversion campaigns, right? So again, that's going to be 80, maybe even 90% of your ad spend over the lifetime of your advertising career for your business. And so that's one benefit right there. The other benefit too of using some sort of lead gen, lead magnet ad is that it will allow you to test audiences for whatever your bigger promotion is, right? So let's just say you have a course that you eventually kind of want to push people to, but you're not sure which audience will resonate the most. As most people are probably aware, listening to this, there's a million billion different options for targeting on Meta. And so by running some test campaigns to these different audiences, you can see how they respond in terms of the cost per lead for the lead magnet that you're running. And obviously the ones that are super expensive, you can kind of ignore those. The ones that have a very low cost per lead, they clearly resonate with something that you're saying, either in the ad copy or in the lead magnet itself. And then that gives you a nice jump start in terms of, okay, now I'm going to promote my course. Audiences, A, B, and C were lousy, but audiences X, Y, and Z worked great. So I'm going to focus on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, fantastic. So good. Okay, now
Mhm.
what type of ads are working at the moment? Now, this will be redundant as soon as we've recorded this, probably, but please tell me that the pointing ads and the dancing ads, and I don't really want to see my medical professionals doing that. But is there a
Yeah.
type of format that's getting a bit more traction at the moment in that expert thought leader space?
Yeah, and you did say something that is important to note before I get into the full answer, which is, you jokingly said, by the time tomorrow it's going to be
Yeah.
outdated information, or however you phrased it. A little bit of an exaggeration, but also a lot of truth into that as well. In that, these things change. I really doubt that what's working today is going to work, certainly a year from now. But it might even change sooner than that. 6 months from now, 3 months from now. But all that being said, let's put that aside. I would say the two things I'm seeing work right now are carousel ads.
Mm.
Carousels, they're easily the most underutilized creative asset type. And for me, when I say creative asset types, I really I put three in that category. Technically, there's more options out there, but those options are so niche in terms of like when you could use them that I don't even include them when I'm doing any kind of training. So the three major asset types are video, graphic, and carousels. And like I said, of those three, carousels are the most underutilized, and they make it for a really great way for someone to engage with your ad because obviously you have to scroll and thumb across to be able to consume everything. So they have to be a little bit more active in the consumption of the ad, whereas with both images and videos, they're passive, right? They just have to sit there and and look at it basically. So it keeps them more engaged, which I think is a good thing. And then when it comes to videos, one thing that is just always an ongoing issue is getting people's attention. That's always a challenge. And so back in the day, you could just record like a simple talking head video. You just lift up your phone and you're talking to it, and you can see good results that way. But yeah, again, it's difficult to capture people's attention now. And so what we have been success with is that if someone records a video, like let's say it's like 3 to 4 separate 15-second clips, and then they're all edited together to be one single video. And then each of the clips, it's like in a different part of your house, your front yard, your backyard, right? You don't have to do anything crazy, but it's just like a change of scenery. That way, as the video goes on, there's changes in scenery, and so it's very engaging, very eye-catching. And so we've been seeing a lot of success with those types of videos. It sounds like you need some fancy editing software and all that kind of stuff to do that, but I can promise you, it's easily done inside of Canva. So no Photoshop needed.
Yeah, wow. I was just going to ask you that. Do I need to, do we all need to get videographers showing up at our offices?
No. Just your phone, a Canva Pro account, and you'll be off to the races.
Off to go. Fantastic. What else did I want to ask you? So thank you for explaining that. Oh, I know. I was thinking when you were talking, what's your thoughts on AI generated images?
Yeah, those are interesting. So when AI generated images first came out, they worked like wildfire. Like they were honestly just a cheat code, and I was like, this is amazing. I was just like throwing all the AI generated images I could at the algorithm. But then it almost seemed like there was like a backlash to it. Like we would see in the comments like, oh, you're using AI, that's so lame, like this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's why that matters, whether it's made by AI or a Canva template, it's all the same thing basically. And so, right now we are still using some AI generated images. However, they have to be really, really realistic looking, right? So like the previous AI images that it could be like vector style and it was very clearly AI generated, those are not working anymore. So they have to be like ultra lifelike style of AI generated images. So yeah, but we have to like really kind of train. We have to go through a couple different iterations when we're going with AI, because we'll say what we want, and then like the first iteration is very obvious that it's AI generated. So we're like, no, make it lifelike. And then it gives us another one, even more lifelike. And we have to like repeat the same thing like over and over again until like it actually does look very much lifelike. And then we can use that.
Oh, that's so good. And let's as we start to wrap up, I just want to say, to everyone listening, Alvaro and his team manage all of my ads. I got to that fortunate point and size of the business where I'm going to stick to what I'm good at. But it blows me away. Pardon me. Sorry, Albert.
No worries.
The complexity of when you're getting into a big launch, and then there's the ads leading in, there's the reminder ads, and then there's the follow-up. Definitely when you get to that stage, I wouldn't even attempt to manage that myself. But for people who are starting, and I was definitely there on that journey not too long ago, to help them learn how to become DIY. You've got a little program, don't you? Do you want to tell us about that and what's inside it so that that can help people get started?
Yeah, so it's called the Facebook Ads Jumpstart, and the reason I created this is because there's obviously a lot of Facebook ad courses out there, right? I'm certainly not denying that, but the vast majority of them, they are long courses. And I by the way, I have one of these long courses as well, so I'm not hating on anyone who has one of these long courses, but there are these long courses that teach you everything about meta ads. So like it walks you from A to Z, and by the time you get to Z or Z, I think is how you guys say it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like a ninja, right? You're gonna be like an absolute pro. And obviously, for some people in certain situations, that is appropriate. But for the vast majority of people, right, you just said it yourself a minute ago, is that you're gonna focus on what you do best. And so, unless you consider, running meta ads like the best thing that you can be doing, there's really no need for you to become just a true Facebook ads expert, right? You can be dangerous, but you don't need to be, some expert that people are looking to get knowledge from. And so that's where this comes in, right? So it teaches you the minimum that you need to be able to run ads yourself quickly and efficiently. And so that's why I call it the jump start. You can get through the content, and if you're really aggressive, you can just do it in one day, but probably 2 days usually is the amount of time it takes to get through it. And you'll be able to launch your first campaign very easily. You'll know what metrics to be looking at, how to set up your conversion events, how to set up all your tracking, your pixel, and all that kind of stuff. And I keep it very simple, very minimalistic, so not overwhelm anyone, because obviously you're entrepreneurs. There's a lot of things going on in your business that you're balancing, and so this is a good course to not overwhelm yourself.
That is so good. And you keep it updated too, don't you?
I do, yes.
Oh,
And actually, I will
amazing.
be updating it very soon, once again, because as Facebook or Meta always does, they had a major interface change just last month. And so I'm like, oh, great, I gotta go back and
Do
re-record.
my course again.
Yeah.
Oh, Alvaro, so good. So everyone, I'll put a link down below where you can go and check out the Jumpstart program, and do keep Alvaro in mind for once you get to that point where you're ready to outsource. I highly recommend you and your team, Alvaro. It's made a massive difference to taking that stress off big launches as well. Okay, so anything else, Alvaro, that you wanted to mention or that I should have asked you before we wrap up? What else is important to know about Facebook
Yeah,
ads and
I actually would say, because this is very important. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to throw one more thing in there. But
yeah.
it's when it comes to budget, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, and they make very big mistakes on. And so when I say when you're first getting started with Facebook ads or meta ads, there's no formula for you to follow to create your budget, right? Because in the future, right, you can create a budget based off of your results. Like, hey, if I spend this amount of money on ads, I get this amount of revenue. Therefore, if I want to hit this number in revenue, I have to spend this much in ads, right? In the future, you can get to that point, and that's how you do create your budgets. But obviously, at the very beginning, you don't have that luxury. So what do you do? A lot of people fall into the trap that they have to spend a lot of money because it's a numbers game, and you have to give the algorithm a bunch of data, this, that, and the other. All of that is true. Yes, it is a numbers game. Yes, the algorithm does need data. However, I've just seen too many people kind of dig themselves in a hole. Well, where they give themselves a $10,000 budget and they get $0 back, and then they're just very dismayed and stuff like that. So I don't want anyone to put themselves in that type of situation. So what I always say in this, and when you're first getting started, is that spend as much as you're willing to spend with the expectation that you're going to get $0 back. Now, I know that sounds a little bit weird because no one wants to get $0 back, but it is the right way to think about it, because getting $0 back is certainly a possibility, right? There's no guarantees in advertising, even when you've done some proof of concept with your organic audience, right? We already spoke about this. You may still get zero sales. So knowing that that is a possibility, what is that number that if you were to spend that much and get $0 back, would you lose, what would make you lose sleep at night, right? So let's go with an extreme example. I'm assuming 99, if not 100% of the people listening to this, if they spend $20,000 on ads and get $0 back, they're going to lose sleep at night, right? Okay, so you have to be spending less than 20K, 10K, still same thing, then go beneath 10K. Is it 5K? Is it 4K? Is it 3K? Get to that number where, no one's going to be happy about losing money, obviously, but like, what can you stomach? And so that's the number that you need to be working with at the beginning. That way you're not, getting yourself in a situation you have to take out a loan or anything like that, God forbid. So be very, very careful when it comes to the budget. Yes, the algorithm needs data. Yes, it is a numbers game, but the most important thing is to be safe with your money.
yeah. Such good advice. I remember you saying that to me, and it took me so long to put my ad spend up. It's just that fear of, and then you go, oh, 5,000. You're like, oh, 7. And even just, the last couple of days, okay, now we're like 3 times that. And I'm like, okay, yep. But I no longer think about losing it, because I know when I spend that now, the numbers will come in and
Mhm.
it'll turn 6 times. So until you have those numbers, that's such good advice, though, that
Yeah.
you can actually, you're not just gambling. It's not red or
Right.
black. It's actually
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
some evidence behind it. Oh,
Yeah.
so good talking to you, Alvaro. Thank you for the update. And it's always just great to hear like when to use ads, what role, how to think about it. It is all part of the mix. Like there is still the organic, there is still the paid. And it's all about getting more people in front of you so that you can let them know about your program. So thank you so much, Alvaro. We'll put the links below and really appreciate you talking to us.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.